Welcome back to the Boot Tragedies. We're going to finally jump into the season reviews. The first group of players I'll be jumping into will be the defensive linemen. I think this group underperformed more than any other group on the Saints team this season. And we're going to start off with no other than Marcus Davenport, a guy that everyone, predicted for the last 3 seasons to have a breakout season. Last year, he had a pretty good season, but this past season, it was pretty bad for Marcus Davenport. I'll start off with my expectations of him coming into the season. I even made a video back in July of last year saying I think Marcus Davenport finally steps outside of Cam Jordan's shadow and he becomes the number 1 defensive end on this team and maybe the number 1 player on this defense. And that was the complete opposite of what happened with Marcus Davenport this season. We can start off with the summer. He came with he got his finger amputated, a part of his finger amputated, so he was already set behind the 8 ball. We know injuries have played a big part in his career so far. So he got, part of that finger amputated, so he was held out of training camp, some mini camp things, some preseason games. So he basically came into the regular season out of shape, out of game shape, looking a little slow. So I was always saying, I'll give him 3 weeks, I'll give him 4 weeks. Then it looked like he'll get up to speed, and he had a couple good games this year. Outside of just a couple good games, he did absolutely nothing this season. Absolutely nothing. I can't, figure out one game where I was like, damn, that's a first-round pick. That's the guy we gave up 2 firsts to get right there. He just didn't have those moments this season. And to say that it was a disappointment, I think that would be understating how bad he played this season. It was very, very, very disappointing to watch Marcus Davenport this season. Everyone thought he was coming off a breakout year after a really good 2021-2022 campaign. It just didn't happen. We can kind of dive into some of these stats, or I guess you could say lack thereof of stats this season. Let's start off just with his total stats because, this is probably going to be hilarious. He played 15 games, started 9 games. He had a whopping 29 tackles on the year. A whopping 29. He had a whopping 16 tackles solo, 1 solo tackle a game. And he had a whopping 2 tackles for loss. Had a whopping 8 quarterback hits. And to complete it all, he had a major number in sacks. 0.5. Now, I've always said that numbers do not tell a whole story when it comes to defensive linemen because guys are getting pressures and sometimes they just can't get sacks. Guys are creating, havoc, just making it hard for the offense. So if that was the case, I would say it. But honestly, this year, that was not the case. Marcus Davenport did none of that. Like I said, outside of about 1 or 2 games that I remember, he really didn't do anything this season. Let's be honest. He really didn't do anything. And I can't even say let's be honest. We all know he didn't do anything. Obviously, he's 26 years old. He's about to be in the prime of his career. Coming off 2021 where he had a great year, looked like, okay, he's finally going to be that guy. This year, a major step back. A major step back. In a contract year. It was his 5th year. Saints picked up his 5th year option. It was his 5th year. Now he's going to be a free agent. Now, obviously, that's going to be, play out with the Saints however it's going to play out. It's going to take a dead cap number if he doesn't resign. But if they don't resign him, no Saints fan will be mad. Just no one. We just go through his 5 seasons as a Saint. Started off rookie season, 4.5 sacks. That's not great. That's not terrible. But a guy you trade 2 first-round picks, you just expect a little more. But then the second season, he came with 6 sacks, got a little better. Okay, maybe he's getting better. He went from 12 quarterback hits to 16 quarterback hits. And we're looking like, okay, maybe this guy's finally figured out. And then 2020, he took a major step back. Only started 1 game, played in 11. 1.5 sacks, 21 combined tackles, only 8 quarterback hits after having 16. So it's 3rd year in the NFL, and everybody's like, okay, why did we trade 2 first-round picks for this guys? And then the last season, 2021 season, he finally had that breakthrough. He finally had the best season that he's had in his career up to date, his 4th season in the NFL. Only played in 11 games, started 9. In those 11 games, he had 3 forced fumbles, 9 sacks. That's almost a sack a game because he only played in 11 games. He had 9 sacks, 39 tackles, which is a career high as well. Forced fumbles a career high. Sacks a career high. Combined tackles a career high. Solo tackles 23, a career high. Assisted tackles 16, a career high. Tackles for loss 9, a career high. Quarterback hits 16, a career high. All of those things were career highs, and he only played in 11 games. He's only played in 11 games that year. And so I thought this season, contract year, a guy that, wants to be $100 million defensive. And, those are the elite guys. You know, the Von Millers, the Myles Garrett's, the Nick Bosa's, the Joey Bosa's, TJ Watts, guys like that. Those are the, 15-plus sack a year guys to 20 sacks. And after Davenport got 9 in 11 games, I mean, you just start doing the math right there. That's about a 15-sack season if he could stay on the field. So this year, I came with high expectations, high goals. I'm sure he did too, but didn't live up to them, obviously. Didn't even get close, didn't even sniff them. Now, this is going to put the Saints in a very, very interesting position. Do you keep paying him off what you think he's going to be, or do you pay him off what he's going to be, or what he is already? I mean, other teams may pay him from last year's production. That's what happens when you become a free agent. Other teams may say, hey, I loved what I saw from Marcus Davenport in 2021. We're going to give him $60 million. We're going to give him $70 million. Other teams may say, hey, I don't care what you did in 2021. Your 2022 was awful, and we don't want to touch you. The Saints can go the same route and say, hey, we love what you did in 2021. We love what you did in 2019. We know your 2022 was bad, so, hey, you take this offer, whatever this may be. It's not going to be on the high end, but it's not going to be on the low end. Maybe it's going to be a short-term deal or anything, or something like that, just to get him back for 1 or 2 seasons. I don't know what they're going to do. Honestly, what I would do, since we're here, I would bring him back on a 2-year deal. A 2-year deal as a rotational guy. That's all I can offer you. Do not expect to make $20 million a year. Do not expect to make $15 million a year. If you want to be back as a Saint, I can give you a 2-year deal. It's going to be very cheap. It's going to be very cheap. And that gives you freedom. That gives us freedom that, hey, if you ball out after 2 years, then maybe you can get a big deal. Maybe you can be one of those $100 million guys. You'll still only be 28. So it's not a bad deal for him. Do I think he'll take that? Absolutely not. Do I think a team will pay him maybe $15 or $20 million per year? Probably so. Maybe a 1-year, $20 million deal. Something like that. 2 years, $35, $40 million. It's always teams that'll do something crazy. Personally, I wouldn't do that. I mean, if the Saints got creative in it and they paid him that type of money, if it doesn't count against the cap, if they can, create a way to finesse the cap where the cap hit isn't as large, then maybe. But I'm not really interested in bringing him back on any type of large deal. If it was my choice, he just doesn't deserve it. Doesn't deserve it. 2021, great year. If he got paid after 2021, I would have had no complaints. But I'm glad the Saints didn't do that. They say, you're not fooling me with this up and down nonsense. You're going to have to show me in back-to-back consecutive years that you can be that guy. And he hasn't showed it. On top of him not being able to stay on the field, I mean, it is what it is. Maybe the Saints will sign him to a contract and it's heavily incentive-based. 10 sacks, you get this. 15 sacks, you get this. You play 10 games, you get this. We can't even do that. So we'll see how the Saints play this out with Marcus Davenport. Let me know what y'all think. Maybe he's done as a Saint forever, and we're just going to realize that we traded the first-round pick to draft him, let go Trey Hendrickson because, we had him, and end up with nothing. So we'll see how this turns out. Let me know how y'all think it'll turn out in the comments below. As always, this is DaBoot Tragedies, and I'm out. I'll definitely have more guys coming soon on the defensive line, so stay tuned for that.